The most lethal threat to a human life rarely arrives from the outside world. It originates inside, when our own flesh refuses to die. A human body operates as a strict cooperative society of roughly 10 trillion individual cells. For the whole organism to survive, every single member of this microscopic community must comply with rigid biological laws. The ultimate price for this compliance is apoptosis, a highly regulated program of cellular suicide. When a cell accumulates DNA damage or detects a viral infection, it is instructed to eliminate itself. This self-destruction is a necessary sacrifice. By terminating its own existence, a compromised cell prevents the spread of genetic errors, protecting the larger collective from rogue behavior. Internal sentinels constantly scan the genetic code for corruption. When a protein detects a critical error, it initiates cascading chemical execution signals. The execution is remarkably precise. The dying cell shrinks and fractures into neat, contained packets, ensuring its toxic contents never spill onto neighbors. But biological systems are imperfect. Occasionally, a cell acquires a specific set of mutations that disable its internal sensors. It receives the chemical command to die, and it ignores it. Bypassing the suicide switch allows the cell to survive fatal damage. It physically detaches from the collective host behavior, hardening against external control. By evading death, the cell abandons its identity as a cooperative citizen. It operates solely for its own preservation, transforming into an active, independent threat. Even if a rogue cell survives apoptosis, it must still contend with a secondary, mechanical defense mechanism built into every human chromosome. It is a strict replication limit known as the Hayflick Limit. Normal human cells are restricted to dividing between 40 and 60 times before they permanently lose the ability to reproduce. The replication process contains a physical flaw. Every time a cell divides, the enzymes responsible for copying DNA cannot reach the very end of the strand, leaving a tiny gap of uncopied material. To prevent genetic loss, chromosomes are capped with telomeres, disposable DNA buffers. With each division, a small piece is sheared off. Once these telomeres become critically short, the cell permanently locks its division cycle. This biological countdown is an essential cage. It ensures no single cell lineage lives long enough to accumulate the vast number of mutations required to become malignant. To become a true malignancy, the mutated cell must break out of this temporal cage. It does this by rewriting its own genetic code. The target is a gene that produces telomerase, an ancient enzyme that exists to repair and rebuild telomeres. In healthy adult tissue, this gene is strictly silenced. The rogue cell forces its way through the barrier by mutating its own promoter regions. This creates new docking sites that switch the telomerase enzyme permanently on. The countdown clock is entirely erased. The cell achieves limitless proliferative capacity, dividing aggressively and endlessly without ever aging. By overwriting its biological clock, the cell severs its final tie to the host. It reverts to the behavior of a primitive, single-celled organism, achieving a parasitic immortality. As this immortal mass multiplies inside confined human tissue, the local environment begins to fail under the physical strain. The rapidly expanding tumor quickly outstrips its local oxygen supply. Starved of air, the rogue cells alter their metabolism, switching to an inefficient fermentation process that produces large amounts of lactic acid. This initiates a destructive process called autoeutrophication. Much like an algal bloom choking a lake, the tumor poisons its own habitat with waste products, terraforming the area into a toxic wasteland. This zone of hypoxia expands as the tumor engineers its environment to be highly acidic and lethal to normal human cells. Healthy tissue breaks down and dies. The tumor ensures its own survival by actively engineering the destruction of the local ecosystem that the rest of the body relies on. This localized environmental destruction soon breaches the bloodstream, scaling up into a systemic attack on the host's vital resources. The tumor releases chemical signals that force healthy organs to cannibalize themselves. It actively breaks down the host's skeletal muscle and fat stores to feed its infinite metabolic demand. The tumor relentlessly consumes the organism that sustains it. By pursuing eternal life, it destroys its only source of nutrients, guaranteeing its own biological annihilation. Human existence is constantly balancing on a microscopic edge. Our survival is entirely reliant on 10 trillion cells and their fragile, necessary willingness to die.